Not all spawn points are created equally. With D-Season, there are 2 spawns from both sides that trump all others, depending on where you want to go. Typing getpos in the console will show your character's position. For CT, these are the 2 best spawn points. For Ts, these are. The reason for valuing these so much is that they determine the first points of contact across the map. Know these, and you know where you're safe and where you aren't. Here you can see the earliest points of contact across the map and what they will look like when playing. Of course, you get a rough idea of this through experience, but it doesn't hurt to view it in this sort of comparison format as well. Also, by knowing where both teams can be at any given time during the rush, you'll be able to devise smokes and other grenades that may interfere with their progress. I wasn't alone in these comparisons. I got Welshie to help me. This is why the 2 viewpoints don't completely match up, but hopefully they'll still be a useful guide. Let's start with middle. On the CT viewpoint, you can see that the T is slightly behind, so I'll professionally Photoshop this to represent where a perfect run could place the terrorist. It takes 7 seconds before the teams can see each other, making this the earliest point of contact across the whole of the map. Before that time, CTs can get into the pit at middle, which may help them to sneakily defend against the mid-rush. They can also throw a grenade that will explode just as terrorists poke their heads out. Terrorists can avoid this by delaying their rush of middle by a second or so, perhaps using that time to throw a precise smoke into middle to obstruct visibility for the CTs. Next up is the fastest times to A, which is unlikely to happen since terrorists will have to rush through the very dangerous mid route to get there. But let's imagine that there were no CTs guarding middle. The teams will meet just as terrorists turn the corner into A. Aside from the surprise factor they cause by taking this risky route, I feel as though terrorists are at a major disadvantage and already have to prepare for a number of well-defended spots that the CTs could have got to by that time, some of which I'll highlight here. Now on to long A, or the paths both teams will have to take should they not want the other team to spot them before they're actually in position to attack the A site. For this, the terrorists will have to take the sewer route. You'll notice that CTs still have to take the mid to A passage. Heading the long way through the gardens adds an extra 2 seconds onto the clock, so it won't be used in this video at all. From here you can see they both bump into each other at this point on the stairs, well before the terrorists even set foot in the bomb site. The terrorists also have the balcony area behind them to defend against a CT push. Should they really be trying to do that? Even if terrorists win the fight on the stairs, they still have to push into the site itself. There are some nice large walls for both teams to deflect grenades off if they're expecting enemies to be there. I can imagine that CTs may rush this area just to lob a grenade before retreating back. Let's move on to B. First we'll see the earliest point of contact, which requires CTs to run straight through the lower level of the site. As with the previous example, they both meet each other before the terrorists can even see into the bomb site. CTs once again may bounce grenades off a wall to devastating effect if terrorists are trying to rush this area. The general feeling I'm getting with Season is that terrorists have a lot to lose if they're trying to rush. Season seems more geared up towards sneaky tactics. It's worth showing some full screen footage of this entrance since the comparison makes it look narrower than it actually is. Although it's a dangerous area for both teams, it's nicely concealed from the site itself, which should tip the balance in favour of terrorists once the initial CT grenade spree is out of the way. And finally, the outside entrance to B. For this, the terrorists still have to take the same, potentially grenadable route, and the CTs the upper path through the bomb site. Long story short, I wouldn't advise that CTs do this since terrorists will be able to see them dropping down from the platform, and even if they land in the concealed corner, they're then stuck there and will probably have been heard. Staying in upper or hiding around the back makes far more sense. Once again, I apologise that these 2 viewpoints don't entirely match up, but you can see that it isn't pretty for CTs. I hope that this video has been interesting. I can do the same sort of analysis for the other maps from the new operation if you think it could help. Thanks to Welshie, he was brilliant for helping me. I would have asked 2Clicks Philip, but he's too far up his own arse. Have fun!
Round